Hey everybody. Um I wanted to do an episode today um about predominantly corruption in New Jersey and why it continues. How come we haven't fought it in a way that we should have or in a way that would have been successful? And every time that I think about this topic of corruption in New Jersey, I think it's one of those issues where all roads lead to Rome. You know, all of the officials at the local and county government levels are so tightly knit and so in bed with each other that nobody wants to make a fuss about the issues. Nobody wants to talk about their brethren when they commit uh, egregious felonies. You know, it's easier just to ignore it or overlook it or just say, well, Jack was doing the best he can. Well, Jane, she's a friend of mine and she's had a real rough time lately. I mean, right. But in the private sector, you screw up, you lose your job, you go to jail. In the public sector, crimes across the board aren't prosecuted. I mean, if somebody gets caught with a dime bag of crack or a dime bag of weed, it makes every major syndicate in the county. But if you catch somebody who's making questionable moves with the public revenue or the public trust, well, we're going to cut that guy a break. And that's why New Jersey's gotten as corrupt as it is. Nobody has ever stood up and said enough's enough. And as a result of that, we have a state where nobody can afford to live anymore. I mean, all these fat cat politicians, one after the other, have decided that they knew best. I mean, they've betrayed the trust of the people, they've betrayed the will of the people that put them in power. And it seems like a helpless battle. It seems like a battle that we keep fighting and we keep losing. I mean, New Jersey has 21 county prosecutors' offices, right? And out of those 21 county prosecutors' offices, there was a study done not too long ago by NJ.com that saw how many police officers were indicted in each county. And I believe that there were 2 to 4 counties where not a single cop got indicted. Now, do you think that's indicative of the fact that no cops broke the law or did anything wrong? Or do you think that's indicative of they cover for each other? I mean, I hate to sound like a skeptic, but you can probably guess what I think. But it's not even just local law enforcement, okay, where corruption goes unpunished. It's all of these little towns where you have 3 to 5 secretaries in a town that has a population of 3,000 people. They have their own public works department, maybe a part-time fire department. The volunteers take over at night or whatever. And, you hear about these people. Like there was a firefighter not too long ago in Hunterdon County. He was a career firefighter in Newark, but he volunteered his time with either the Lambertville or the Reddington Fire Department. Well, they caught him using the gas card that was there for company vehicles. He was using it to fill up his own car. And the attitude that they had was, well, John has a lot of years in the fire department. We're gonna wait till he collects his pension until we report him or until we prosecute him, whatever. And that's a problem. I mean, why should people grievous felonies receive a government pension? I mean, a pension's there because hey, you put in your 25, 30 years of honest, decent work. You're at the end of your string and whatnot. A pension's not there because uh, we feel you deserve it solely on the basis of how long you put in, even if you've broken the law, you know? And that's a problem. It's like this police chief in Bordentown, Frank Nucera, right? The guy retired from the police department amidst a federal investigation. He was allowed to take his pension. How they maneuvered that one is still beyond me, because what should have happened was the minute that the state pension board, PFRS, learned that he was under federal investigation, they should have frozen his account, meaning they shouldn't have allowed him to retire. But they let him retire. So the guy got a pension. 3 months after he retired, the feds knocked on his door and they charged him with various civil rights offenses. The problem is now, under the current state of the law, nothing can happen to him. Okay, his pension is in the bag. So even if he has to do 5-6 years in prison, he's gonna have a nice, big, juicy government pension waiting for him when he gets out. I don't think that that's legit. I feel that if you commit a crime, and even if you're not caught until after your pension has vested, I feel that the state should pass certain laws so that your pension can be divested. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. I know that right now, but I do. I mean, and I'm not saying that it's not a slippery slope, because ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to have people who maybe didn't follow the law to the letter of it, but in the same token aren't egregious felons. People that fall into that gray area. And those people are at risk of having their rights shit on. And that's the main argument against pension seizures and pension revocations and such, is the fact that it could be used very easily in politically motivated prosecutions to go after people that the general public simply feel are overcompensated or underworked or any of the combination of above. And what I think the most revealing thing is at this point is that the state of New Jersey has tried time and time again to go after pension abuse. And every time that they've tried, a new law has passed from one or that originated in one or both houses that basically negates that effort or would make that effort futile. And I think probably the best example of that was when the state of New Jersey proposed a law that would have eventually limited, if not eliminated, disability pensions for public workers. And all of a sudden, the PFRS lobbyist and the NJEA lobbyist made it over to the lawmakers and wined and dined them until they were able to reach an agreement that came up with a new system to allegedly accomplish the same task, but made it virtually impossible to do so. I mean, that's the entire problem with the state, is that these unions have sucked us dry. Okay? These unions have made it so that if you're a member of them, you cannot be prosecuted. If you're a member of them, you cannot be fired. And Chris Christie did so much to try and change that effort, but he failed, because ultimately all of his changes have been undone by the Murphy administration.